as of the time I'm recording this in Friday morning, we have hit new all-time highs. So, what does this mean and what should we do? I always like to kind of take a breath, take a deep step back, and do what's kind of like a post-mortem on the bear market. How you handled it, who you listened to, how you could handle the next one better, because, as I'll show you here, there's going to be a lot of them. There's been a lot of bear markets over the last few years. Let's just do a 1 week chart on the SPY to get started. Ignore all these lines here. In fact, I'll just delete all 12 drawings. So let's just look over the last couple years, right? We had the 2016 bear market, we had the 2018-19 bear market, we had the 2020 bear market, we had the 2022 bear market, now the 2025 bear market. So there's been a lot. There's been a lot of bear markets in most recent past. They just happened faster than they did in 2008, 2009. And after each one, I want to kind of grade myself, and I want to grade my systems, I want to grade my process, and I want to grade who I followed. And that's what I want to talk about this video, because there are still people, as of just a couple days ago, in this area right here, that were, there's war, there's, right, World War III, whatever we want to call it, the market's going to tank, everything is awful, we should sell here the whole way up. And part of that is kind of shown with the fact that I've been talking about the commitment of traders data for a while now. They're still, the large speculators, I shouldn't just say they, the large speculators are still short, and they're shorting stocks on the way up. So in that case, we know that potentially this has a lot of lags and it can break through. And another thing that we're going to look at quickly is what happens after we make this new all-time highs. But I want to take a second and just do a little bit of kind of introspective of myself. Now, at StatSedge Trading, we are systems traders, right? I design, I backtest, I build systems. Those systems alert us in real time. Either, I send out the everything the week before, or in our Discord room, there's a little bot that will alert in real time. The only discretion is I kind of look at the stock, see if it's something I like. If it does, then I take the trade. If the market's doing something crazy or selling new lows or something, maybe I'll wait and buy it a little bit later. Other than that, we follow our systems. And I'm not going to lie, during the height of the bear market, during this area right here, of course, we were in a drawdown. And of course, it wasn't the easiest thing in the world. Now, how I'm happy to say that I was able to follow my system, and I came in every day and I just did the thing, and I'm very, very proud of that. Certainly wasn't easy, especially if you're spending too much time on the Twitter and too much time on the news, which is going to be my first kind of feedback and criticism to myself. Even though I was able to do what I was supposed to do and follow the systems every day and take the trades, I still spent too much time probably doom scrolling in this area, and that maybe caused a couple extra gray hairs in the beard here that didn't need to be there. So next time, right, just turning off the news a little bit earlier, turning off the news a little bit faster. And that's what I think you guys should do as well. Is your equity at all-time highs or near all-time highs? If not, then you have to look at what you did. Did you sell out of fear at the lows? Are you trying to convince yourself, even now, where most people are still, I see, still trying to convince themselves that there is something that's going to happen and the bear market's going to continue and we're going to go back down and test those lows and all of those things that the bears say. The reason for that I think this is important is because I knew people. I worked in the hedge fund space, as a lot of you guys know, for about 10 years. And of course, I started because when I graduated university was around this time. And I remember the whole way up, a lot of hedge fund managers, smart people out there, people that I knew that were smart traders and investors. The whole time they were talking about a double dip recession. They were talking about that the market was going to go back to where it was. They were talking all of these negative things that were going to happen in the market, and didn't get back in and didn't, start investing from the long side and didn't continue to trade from the long side. And then they miss this whole recovery. And I know some people to this day that, talk about, you say, hey, well, isn't the market doing great? And they'll use some excuse about inflation or printing money or debt or whatever it is to just stop themselves from saying, yeah, I probably should have been investing on the way down instead of selling on the way down. And it makes it really hard for them to buy on the way up. You can just see, right? We were at 150 there on the SPY and we're at 600 now, right? So a big return. And then I see a lot of people, even from here, talking about how this is a bubble, even though we just bled off 30%. So I don't know what's going to happen next in the market. Neither do you. The question that I think you need to ask yourself is twofold. One, do I have a system to do my trading? Or am I just looking at charts? If the chart looks nice, I take a trade. If that's the way you're doing it, I think there's a big problem there where you don't have a system. What helped me out during this bear market is we have systems. And I have showed you guys many times the back tests. You can find them all on my website, statsatrading.com. Every single month by month by month performance of the systems going back 25 years. And the reason for that is I was able to go with my systems and look at what happened in 2008 and look at what happened in 2020 and look at what happened in 2022 in that last bear market and see, yes, you go through drawdown, you continue to stick with the system, eventually you come out of drawdown and things start making money again. And if you don't have a system, I would imagine that would get much, much harder because you're trying to figure out on the fly every day based off the news and what you're seeing in the price action, what to do. So step one, do you have a system? If not, build one. Or come on over to statsatrading.com, give us a shot, use our systems. Step two, what happens if you don't follow your system? And that's something that I can't help that much with, right? You can come hang out in our Discord room. We talk about these things all the time. But that becomes a bit of a different and a bit of a bigger question is why didn't, when you had to, follow your system? What did you do, or what were you looking at, or what were you reading, or what were you watching that told you that this was the time to deviate from your system, to not take the trades, to turn it off? And then whether was that good or was that bad? There was times on the way down when the market was just kind of in complete free fall that some of our mean reversion trades, I just said, you know what, I'm okay. I'll sit out for now, and ended up doing a little bit better in the system because of it, but still sticking with the system. So those are the two things you have to ask yourself. And most traders that are struggling suffer from one of these dilemmas. One, they don't have a system at all. Right? They've read a book about technical analysis and they're like, hey, I like buying bull flags. And they go in. They don't have any definition of what a bull flag is. They don't have any definitive way to scan for them. They don't have their exit and entry and exit criteria completely sorted out. That's a huge problem. The second problem that I see a lot of traders have is they have a system, but they don't follow it. And that has a lot to do with, reading the news or following people who are, maybe doomers or something like this. You have to cut that, and you have to cut those people completely out of your life. Have fun with them with beers. Go out and have a good time. If we're talking social media, maybe mute them and just go check up on them every now and then. Make sure they're doing okay. But it is not of service to you to read the news all the time and to struggle constantly and saying, okay, because there will always be a news reason to sell. There will always be a news reason to, I have to get out of a certain position. There'll always be a reason for a war, inflation, interest rates, whatever you want to say. You have to follow your system. So if you don't have a system, build one. Come over to statsatrading.com. If you do have a system and you're not following it, that's something you have to look a little bit more internally. You got to figure out why, what's interfering with you, what's cutting you out of what can you cut out in order to make sure you're following that system going forward. Again, as always, thank you very much for tuning in. I will talk to you guys next week. Until then, enjoy the all-time highs and get away from the screens.